You're probably thinking to yourself, BBC tips. What even is a Ponzi scheme and why exactly is Hexerei one? A Ponzi scheme is an investment fraud that pays existing investors with funds collected from new investors. Ponzi scheme organizers often promise to invest your money and generate high returns with little or no risk. But in many Ponzi schemes, the fraudsters do not invest the money. Instead, they use it to pay those who invested earlier and may keep some for themselves. And now you're probably thinking to yourself, BBC tips. How does any of this remotely relate to my favorite game, Genshin Impact? And how, of course, the Hexensekel circle. Hex was primarily introduced into the game with Turin as a way for Hoyovers to buff old Mondstadt characters that aren't named Eula Lorenz. However, it did buff the following units: Mona, Sucrose, Rage God, Albedo, Klee, Venti, and Fischl. And now, I know what you are thinking to yourself. This doesn't sound bad at all. What exactly is wrong with a bunch of old dogshit garbage units that aren't named Eula Lorenz getting a much needed buff? And you're right! This would have been the case if the buffs weren't as powerful and valuable as a C0 kinda Harakazuha in the current meta. The buffs did jack shit. Nothing. Worthless. Garbage. Let's start with talking about the Razor buffs. Razor is a unit no one, and I mean not a single fucking soul in the universe cares about. No one plays Razor, nobody likes Razor, and no one actually thinks Razor is good. Razor is only a part of the conversation because he's a relevancy league merchant. The only time people bring Razor up is when they want to dog on another unit by comparing him to the 4-star DPS that probably has rabies. There are 0 Razor runs, bro, 0 Razor players, and 70,000 seats that budget him as a DPS better than Arlecchino. Now we have Albedo, and for once, I want to start with some positives. Now I will proceed to name everything great about Albedo. And now for the negatives. I am convinced that if you play or like this unit, you're an alien. If you like this character, you have no inner monologue, you're a fucking asparagus. Every single person I know who likes Albedo is so catastrophically autistic, man. He's a lore merchant. Truthfully, the buffs didn't matter at all because instead of being wanted in 0 team comps, he is now wanted in 0 team comps. If I had a dime for every time an Albedo player mentioned his lore, I would literally be a Rothschild. Bro, Albedo literally said, oh, I'm gonna destroy Mondstadt. The only correlation between Albedo and distraction is Magukenki destroying his flower when he farts. Albedo is a vain posting merchant. Destroy Mondstadt, my fucking ass, man. Next we have Sucrose. So Sucrose went from being wanted in nearly every relevant carry team for some reason to being wanted in every relevant carry team for some reason. 0 meaningful changes to the unit, besides enabling a new era of people smashing their heads against the wall repetitively with the worst team core in Teyvat, aka Hex Vape. I would like to forward a message towards all speedrunners. Please, bro, please stop cost testing Mona Hex Vape and put the C2 Citlal in the bag, or the C4 Varesa to get C6 Janssen in the bag, because C2 Varesa would be, you know, kinda generous, instead of playing that utter dog shit of a team core. I personally believe that the foot job by blood-lasted piranhas is a more enjoyable experience than trying to clear tire with C0 R0 Mawika Hex Vape. I am being so dead as right now. I am fucking convinced that Hex Vape is a social experiment constructed by Caron to see what kind of unplayable dogshit he can bait people to clear dire if he gets a low-cost clear with it. Originally, I was going to go by each Hex unit's release schedule to talk about them, but I can't contain myself anymore. I need to talk about Lohen. But my BBC tipster, first I have to confess to you about my new addiction. I, BBC Tips, am addicted to the Lohen main subreddit. I have recently developed a fixation on Lohen damage showcases. I like going out of my way to the Lohen main subreddit and watch showcases of people showing their Lohen, and then I cheer and applaud when he breaks 90k to 100k DPS. Seeing Lohen struggling to break 100k is one of the most engaging, enjoyable experiences Genshin Impact has to offer. It is one of my favorite pastimes. I fucking adore Lohen. He's actually the gift that keeps on giving. I love this unit. He's so comically toxic. Dude, he's going bar to bar with Chongyun in his best comp. He loses to Shitlali. He's like the fucking scene of not crime, man. Like, think about it for a second. Lohen and Sino are literally in the same exact meta position. Back in Sumeru, it was a DPS gain to on-field Kuki Shinobu over Sino, and it's a DPS gain to use Mona or Shitlali over Lohen, because Lohen's personal DPS is so fucking toxic that the Thrilling Tales buff to even one hit is more valuable than his 2 million DPR in 100 seconds looking ass. Dude, the worst thing about Lohen is that people act like his kit is somehow remotely different or interesting than any other main DPS in the game. No, he just does no damage and applies a lot of cryo. He's cryo Tartaglia, but with Xiangling being Turin, who sucks. It's if Moalani came out a patch directly after child release. Like, he's so fucking ass, it's amazing. The fact that people somehow defend this bum is what makes him such a fun punching bag. Dude, oh, he's a standard, so he's actually better than Skilk and Varka, because his 6 Lohen is actually 0 cost, so he's actually good, you guys. The funny thing is that even if he was standard, he wouldn't be good, because Stellar Swirl's existence makes the Inazuma frat leader Mogsuki frame mog that boy Lohen back to Zimbabwe. Like, he legit wouldn't even be a good standard character too, because Mona is better than him in his only team. He's competing with Chongyun. Let me repeat myself. He's competing with Chongyun. This unit is ass. His role is fundamentally ass. He's a melt enabler with dogshit constellations, completely single target, no front load, no DPR, no nothing. He wouldn't even be top 3 DPS if he came out in Fontaine. Lohen is actually the fucking Kamisato Ayat of this region. He's so flexible and versatile. Kill yourself! But enough about Lohen. Let's talk about Turin. Honestly, the biggest issue with Turin is that he's a bum who forces you to choose between buffing and his dogshit personal damage. This is why Lohen sucks, dude. You really don't want to be an enabler for the Spider-Man key that does 700k DPR fully buffed in Melt. C0 Turin is just not a unit you want to be using at all. He's shit. Fun fact, by the way, archaeologists still have not discovered a single relevant meta Turin team. I think it's hilarious. The people in this community somehow think they are so clever for pulling sub DPSs to wheelchair their 4-year-old DPSs. No fucking meta relevant character actually wants Turin, man. And before you go, oh, BBC Tips, 48 cost Turin is actually the second strongest DPS in the game. I want you to listen. I want you to understand that being good in Miliastra Wonderland at 48 cost does not make you a good fucking character. I do not care about the side of the Genshin meta where I need 5 mortgages to afford being a part of. And before you go, BBC tips, what about Varka? What about Varka? BBC tips. Doesn't need Turin. No, he doesn't. Turin for Varka is the equivalent of pulling C2R1 Lohen for your Mawika team. Yes, it is the best in slot, but you are pulling a C2R1 baseline character to be a Bennet upgrade. It is good, yeah, obviously, but you are literally better off getting anything else beforehand. Nicole Constellations, Varka Constellations, Varka Signature, which is one of the strongest signatures in the game, Nicole Signature. I don't think you even need to consider Turin for Varka unless both your Varka and Nicole are Constellation 6. So realistically, Turin is only a unit that is worth considering if you play horrifically bad dogshit characters that you want to wheelchair, such as Albedo, Xiao, the Diamond of Fontaine, Varesa, Kinis. Well, Varesa is not particularly salvageable anyway. You're better off just playing Mawika Overload. Scrap that, forget Varesa. Basically all the 16 cost baseline units who struggle to clear Overworld Magu Genki under a minute. But here's the thing about Turin and Hex as a whole. Like, I think every single Hex unit except Nicole are dogshit, garbage, worthless. And she's a C2 merchant. Literally don't bother with fucking any of them, and realistically outside of Lynch, Varka and Mawika, and maybe, hear me out, maybe the Rayo Cerberus Clay. I think that the perception of C2 Nicole's value is simply overinflated in the community. I suggest googling Nicole inflation Genshin impact to see exactly what I'm talking about in much more depth. This hit is exactly why I call Hexerei a Ponzi scheme. It wants you... No, scratch that. It needs you to have old garbage units that you want to wheelchair for them to still be behind the modern meta. For Hexerei to be worth anything at all. Like, Hexerei on its own is really not strong at all. The only good Hexerei units are C2 Nicole and Varka. I guess that is because Varka is the only, and I mean the only half decent Hexerei carry. But dude, he got shafted so badly that I don't think he's worth bothering with. Mawika exists anyway. So realistically, you are only playing Hexerei if you want to spend 15 cost to make your old characters go from keeping up with the current meta and struggle to clear Stygian to not keeping up with the current meta and struggle to clear Stygian Onslaught. And I do not even think it is worth it anymore, because we know for a fact they are going to be rolling out buffs more often, and those old garbage units are going to either have completely new teammates in an entirely different archetype. You know, like, we got new buffs recently. Like, if you were to tell me 6 months ago that Yaemik or Iothisli Superconduct would be a good team, I would call you a batshit insane mind-melted lunatic. And this actually goes again to my point of why Lohen is Nefer's closest competition. Because here's the thing about Lohen. When Lohen gets a kill, he gets to go again, allowing him to dish out high single target damage while still being viable in AoE as a hunt character. Join us the next time when we analyze the new upcoming character, Chlorinde. BBC tips out.